Very good afternoon to you all. It's good to see you all here. So these days, we hear a lot of disgruntled noises about higher education, don't we? On one hand, we've got the students. They are saying that we are paying a lot of money for our university degrees. However, at the end of our studies, the well-paid jobs, they seem to be very elusive. The promised pot of gold is missing at the end of the rainbow. So they are not really sure, especially given the rise of AI, a lot of the entry-level jobs seems to be disappearing as well. So they are not really sure whether it's worth all the money and getting into debt for. Now that's our students. On the other hand, we've got their future employers, basically company bosses. They are also complaining as well. The young men and women you are sending us, they are meant to be certified geniuses. They are meant to be able to hit the ground and start running straight away. However, many a time, we find that we still need to invest a lot in them in terms of giving them time, guidance, and also support before they can start performing in their roles. So we are not very sure. Maybe we are better off using AI. So these are the complaints that we hear day in, day out. And I think it's very important for us to address them because they are coming from the two really powerful groups of stakeholders of higher education. Now, it's very important for us to be able to articulate the value proposition of higher education again convincingly to these stakeholders. Now, value proposition is very dear to me. I was in sales and marketing for 20 years, so I know what people are talking about when they invoke the term value proposition. But maybe, for some of you, you are not very familiar with this particular term. So let's define it very clearly what we are talking about when we talk about value proposition. Now, if you look at all the products in the world and all the services, strip away the marketing messages and all the functional features, the underlying, the most core value proposition is basically empowerment. When you are buying something, the company is promising that if you buy it from us, you will be empowered to do something which you were not able to do before. For example, when you buy a power drill, once you've got it, you have the power to make the right sized holes in the wall. Why do you pay for a haircut? Because you want to have the power to look good. So we are all talking about empowerment. So in higher education, how are we empowering our students and how are we empowering their future employers? I think for the students, they want to be empowered to be able to look for a good job so that they've got an opportunity to build a good future for them. That's understandable, right? We all want to have some kind of control over our future. For the employees, they are looking for empowerment through the students that we send them so that their businesses will perform better in an increasingly competitive marketplace. So ultimately, we need to offer them empowerment. So the value proposition is a key thing. Given the rise of AI, I think it's very important for us, to spell out the empowerment process to our students. And I usually like doing it through Rocky. I think Rocky Balboa is a character, I'm confident, everyone is, you know who I'm talking about, right? The other day in a class of mine, I mentioned Michael Douglas, and my students, basically look at me, giving me this look. Who are you talking about? I really felt the generation gap in that particular situation. But Rocky Balboa, I think, is quite safe. Now, in Rocky 1, I'm thinking in particular, we know that at the beginning, he's not really fit. On day 1, he devours 6 raw eggs, and then he goes on for a run. But he does very poorly. When he comes back, his ribs are aching, and also, he's out of breath. So he's not really fit at that stage. But he persists, and he runs every single day. And gradually, he becomes stronger and stronger. And we all remember the scene in which, he's running like the wind. And his friends are applauding him and cheering him on. And eventually, he runs up the stairs of the Philadelphia County Hall, standing at the top of it as if, he's a conqueror of the whole world. Now, we find it very inspiring. Why? Because we are witnessing an empowerment process. Someone is being transformed from being weak to being strong, and therefore we feel inspired. However, if we translate the information, translate this particular situation to our students, nowadays, they've got AI to use. They can upload an assignment question very easily, and AI will be able to generate a decently written essay for them very easily as well. But if they do that, it would be equivalent to Rocky having a robot. So instead of doing the run daily on a daily basis himself, he tells the robot, well, I've got to run from A to B. Why don't you just carry me so that I can take it off my to-do list? I'm very busy. I've got a new girlfriend and I've got a job. I really, don't have time to do the running. Well, he can, of course, do that. But when he's doing that, the empowerment process is broken, right? Because he can take it off his to-do list, but when he goes into the ring to face his opponents, he will not have the ability or the stamina to prevail over his opponents. So instead, he should be using the robot like a running companion. In the morning, if he's not able to wake up, the robot should poke him in the eye. It's time for you to get up for a run. And then the robot can be running alongside him, giving him advice. Now, at the moment, your heart rate is really elevated. You need to slow down a little bit. And later on, you need to pick up your pace. So providing really customized training routine for him, and also companionship as well. So in the same way, AI should be applied in this particular fashion, so that instead of ceding control to AI, we are using it for our own empowerment process. Now, using another character, I think my daughters, they are really familiar with this particular character, Harry Potter. One of the most successful literary franchises in recent years. In the Harry Potter world, there are two groups of people. We've got the magical people and the muggles, people who are born without magic. Now, for the muggles, when they discover magic, it will be good news to them. From now on, I don't need to do anything. At the wave of a wand, all my problems will go away, and all the work that I need to do, they will also be done automatically. However, we know that the magical folks living in the Harry Potter world, that's not the case at all. Even though they've got magic at their disposal, they still need to go to a magical school to learn more powerful spells. Why? Because the challenges that they face, they are on a different scale. Therefore, they need to really learn how to use their magic, again, so that they can prevail over their opponents. Where you say, I understand what you're saying, so basically the parallel between magic and AI, I see it. So you are saying that even though our students, they've got AI at their disposal very easily nowadays, they still need to go to higher education to learn more powerful spells. That's what you are saying, right? Yes, to a certain extent. So exactly what we are teaching them at higher education. What are the powerful spells that we are trying to teach them? Basically two things. They need to learn how to innovate and also differentiate. What do I mean by that? Let's stay in the magical world a little bit longer. Say, in a cake shop, someone, is training to be a pastry chef. Now with the availability of magic, he doesn't have to learn all the steps involved in baking a cake. At the wave of his wand, a perfectly delicious carrot cake will be conjured up. That sounds really good, right? And the pastry chefs, they would be lamenting. Our young people, they are not learning our skills anymore. All the things that we spend years and years learning is lost to them. But that's the reality at the moment. So what do they need to learn instead? I think there's still very much, the pastry chef can teach them. Even though the baking process can be automated, by magic or AI, but there's one thing which cannot be taken away. The person, training to be a pastry chef, they still need to think about, hey, now that I can create a cake very easily, I still need to think about for whom I'm making this cake. And since magic is now available to everybody else, I've got to think about how I can differentiate myself so that the cakes I'm offering my customers, they will be superior to everyone else's cake. I think that's very important. And that's what companies are looking for as well. Because in order to win in commercial competitions, they've got to be able to say how we are going to differentiate from our competitors. And that's what we need to teach our students. Now, surprisingly, the strongest inspiration comes from the good book. In the Bible, there's the account when Peter meets Jesus for the first time. Peter is a very experienced fisherman. He spent the whole night trying to catch fish, but to no avail. And Jesus comes along. Why don't you take your boat over there and then cast your net to your right? And he catches so many fish that the net is on the verge of breaking. Now, the reaction is very interesting. I think it's very common to human nature. When we are faced with something that is powerful, that we do not understand, we feel fearful. So Peter's reaction is, please go away from me. I don't want to be anywhere near you. Do we remember what Jesus says in reply to that? He says, do not be afraid. I'm going to make you fisher of men. I think that's the important lesson. Most of the successful companies, they are good fishers of men. They are very good at capturing people's hearts. And I think in the School of Business here at Molloy University, that's the lesson we need to teach our students. I'm not sure whether AI will become like human, but one thing I'm very sure, I will always be a human being. And human beings, they need other human beings so that we can serve each other and solve each other's problems through empathy. And I think, for a long, long time to come, and that will not change. Thank you very much.